I became a foster carer about 15 months ago. So with me also working for Derby City, it was something that I'd really wanted to do with me working for sort of with children and young people. So I went through the process and went to panel in December 2022, and I was registered to do emergency placements. And so yeah, been foster carer for about 15 months. So it's something I've always wanted to do, working with children and young people since sort of the start of my career. It's been an area that has been of interest to me. Obviously with me having my own children, young children, and working, the time wasn't right until recently. I had my older child left home, and my middle child also was sort of a bit more independent, so the time was right for me as a single parent to be able to look at actually now I can sort of share my home and my life with foster children. Speak to your family and friends about it because it's really important you've got local support from your sort of local network. I would say make contact with Derby City, Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire, whatever area you are in, to find out a little bit more about the process and what it entails. There's loads of networks and support groups that you can drop into to find out a bit more about it. There's information on all of the websites. So go and do your research, find out a little bit more about it, speak to people. You know, you can be linked up with other foster carers to find out sort of what it's like in real life, and then yeah, go from there. But do your research, make sure you know what is expected and what's needed from you, and then make those steps to go and inquire about it. You'd like to think a lot of these have been ironed out now in 2024, but actually I speak to people and there is still those myths around I'm a single parent, I'm not in a heterosexual relationship, I've got a disability, I work, you know, all of these things that historically, you know, might have been something that was a barrier, but you know, we've moved on so much from there. And I think as long as you've got the want to do it, you've got the capacity, you've got a spare bed, spare room for a child and the needs there, then you know a lot of those other things can be worked around. So yeah, there is still quite a few misconceptions out there, but I'm a single parent, I work, and you know we've made it work. I think for me, I do emergency, so they often children will come to me at sort of a point of crisis. So it might be because they've been had to leave their permanent home, their family home, sometimes at the middle of the night, or it might be because a previous arrangement or placement is broken down. So you know, at the point they come to me, it's not a planned situation. The child hasn't had any time to prep, I haven't had any time to prep, but actually to then be able to offer a safe, warm place for those children, for them to sort of have a home, whether that's for one night or 5 nights, and to feel part of that home and you know included in the family life, however short that period is just so important. So yeah, and you can sense it and you can feel it, that they do feel settled. You know, most of them will be on the sofa under a blanket, eating snacks and you know wanting to cuddle up and just have that time and attention. So yeah, it's really rewarding. I think because they come to me sometimes at a crisis point, it can be quite an intense time, and so you know we do spend a lot of time together and we can sort of build that relationship up quite quickly. One little boy that I had, he was 7, and he wasn't currently in education because things were quite heightened for him at that time. But my youngest son was getting ready for school and put his uniform on that morning with his school tie, and this little boy really wanted to be like my son, so we got him some, you know, he'd got a little shirt in his things, his belongings. We got my son's spare school tie that he put on, and he wanted to dress like my son. He wanted a photo with him, and then he spent the 4 days in placement with me at my house, dressed up like that every morning. So he would put that shirt and tie on every morning. So that was really memorable. He wanted to feel part of our family even for that short amount of time, and he did. You know, he was sort of felt like he was, you know, wearing the same clothes. There was another little boy I had who again came to me in a bit of a crisis point, and we'd done activities and things over the weekend, and we were driving back from Mazda, and we drove back past the fire station, the local fire station, and he said, "Oh my God, I want to be a firefighter when I grow up. I love firefighters." Da, da, da. So we just swung around to the fire station, pulled up outside, and there was a firefighter cleaning the engine down. So I just shouted over and I said, "Oh, you know, is there any chance that we could just, you know, have a look?" And the firefighter was brilliant. He was like, "Yeah, of course." So out of the car we got, and he went in. He got to put the hat on. He got to have a look at his equipment and the hose and everything. We got a photo that he then, you know, kept with him. And just driving back home after that spontaneous event, he was like, "This has been the best day of my life ever." And obviously I printed him out the photograph, and he took it on to his next home with him. And I went to visit him a few days later, and he'd got it by his bed in a frame. So yeah, it was lovely. I guess challenges, the only challenges there've been really, I suppose, with me working, there have been a few times where we've just had to think creatively. So I generally have always had school-aged children, but sometimes these children aren't in school. So I've I've got really good support from my manager and my team and colleagues. So there's been times when colleagues have taken over from something at work that I couldn't attend, so that I could, you know, stay at home and be present for that time. Or there's been times when my supporting social worker has come and supported me in the home while I've done a meeting and things like that. So I would say sometimes they're not so much challenges, but we've had to think creatively at how we could make it work, with obviously the priority always being on the child having, you know, the best sort of solution for them. Because luckily working in the team I do as well, work with children and young people, you know, our priority is always child focused, so we'll do whatever we can to make sure that if I'm needed to support that child at that time, we can sort of work around it. Derby City, who are my local authority that I foster with, have been amazing. So my social worker has been really supportive. Obviously I've had some children that have come to me at a really difficult time in their lives, so I've, you know, had phone calls to my supporting social worker at 11 o'clock at night, and she's been there, and, you know, we've had FaceTimes, and she's done distractions with her guinea pig and things like that. So, you know, it's going that extra mile and stepping outside the box, and I've felt really well supported from the team at Derby City. There's also been, you know, if I've ever needed to call somebody on duty out of hours, the team have been really responsive. And again, even just times when I've perhaps needed a buddy, if I've had something going on at work, or I had one little girl who needed sort of quite a lot of, you know, constant one-to-one, because she had quite a lot of additional needs. So they were really good at linking me up with another foster carer in Derby City that actually could come and support me so that we could take her out in the community, because it wasn't risked, it wasn't safe for me to do that on my own. So, they've been really supportive. There's great networks and drop-in sessions and training, even as getting newsletters and information through emails about what's going on in your local community, what you can engage in. Family hubs that obviously are brilliant, and we're really, our ethos is everybody's welcome. We have quite a lot of foster carers come to events at the hubs and engage with those. So yeah, I think the culture in Derby City, and from sort of Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire, Nottingham City as well, is really supportive, proactive. I get lots of positive feedback from other foster carers too. They've got the same experience. I mean, what can I say? It's something I always wanted to do. I always hoped that I could bring a little bit of something to a child's life, even if it's for a short period of time, and hopefully I have. But I've got so much from it as well, and I think I've learnt a lot from living with different children from different backgrounds, different cultures, different religions as well, different needs. It's sort of made me expand my knowledge and awareness, and just having those connections and being able to do something for a young person at a time of sort of need, and you being able to provide that safe space and that safe home, it does make you feel good as well, and you feel like you are giving a little bit back to your community and to your children in your city. With regards to the rest of my family, I'm really lucky to have a real supportive family and social network of friends who have been brilliant. My children have engaged and supported all the children that have stayed with us. We've done day trips out and activities and things like that, and it's really sort of broadened their awareness as well, of how they can support other young people. And with regards to my wider support network, and even friends, if I've had a child turn up in the middle of the night, literally with the clothes on their back, I've had friends drop bags off at my front door at 7 a.m. with clean boxes and shoes and clothes for these children. So it's really sort of also raised awareness in my social network, and all these things that hopefully that ripple effect then spreads out, doesn't it? Overall, it's just knowing that these children come to me at a time when things are difficult for them, for whatever reason. A lot of them have, been through some sort of trauma, and for me to then see these children in my home, feeling like it's their home, being comfortable enough to go and get themselves some milk out of the fridge and sitting on the sofa, pulling a blanket over themselves, feeling safe and comfortable, and cared for, that is just everything to me.